Alright people, Mike Solin here again. Welcome back to some more Baldur's Gate 3. Today just picking up where I left off the last time, which is when I was finishing up with that smuggler's den or thieves den or whatever it was, and we found this like entrance to the Underdark. I think I'm maybe a bit under leveled to be going down here, and it's probably wiser if I went to the mountain pass. But I think I want to explore down here a while and then maybe go check out the mountain pass if I can't get that far in the Underdark. I'm level 5, and I don't know what the level cap in this game is actually. I've never looked it up or anything. So maybe I'm not that under leveled, but I still don't feel that powerful. And that might be because I'm just bad at the game. But yeah, we'll see how we get on fighting these minotaurs and stuff like that. And if I'm getting completely destroyed, I might leave the Underdark and go upstairs and try to find this mountain pass. Um, but I think the one character I do have that feels pretty powerful is Karlach. She has the most health. I gave her the best, like, great sword we have. Her wild magic ability, the stuff it can do, it really helps us take out people. And surprisingly, as Tyrion, when he gets his offhand attack to land with the two like really good daggers I've given him, he can be really powerful as well. Um, and actually, Shadowheart, to be fair, when she gets that inflict wounds, like the second level of inflict wounds, and gets that to land pretty decently, it can like take off half an enemy's health. Um, so actually, my party, the like main characters I use, actually, they're all pretty powerful in their own way, I guess. But I'm still not that skilled. Like I think Astarion or someone's actually been down during this fight. I think I managed to just get through this, scrape by. I was trying to get Shadowheart to use Inflict Wounds here because, again, it seems like a really powerful attack, and it's got me out of a few other scrapes before. But I couldn't use it there for some reason. I guess something was blocking my way. Anyway, Karlach took down that one Minotaur for me, and she did a lot of damage to this other one as well. Um, so yeah, I couldn't do anything else with her. I think Astarion or Shadowheart got that absolutely murked there. Um, don't know what happened here. I had to reselect Shadowheart. I think she gets inflict wounds this time. It is pretty powerful sometimes, but it depends what sort of dice roll you get. I think on how much damage it does. It can do a lot if you get like the maximum amount with it. Um, but yeah, Karlach is really my most reliable character. If you get her to lacerate or cleave something with the big sword I've given her, she like can really wipe out an enemy pretty quickly. Especially if you put her in rage mode and do that wild magic ability or whatever. So we managed to survive that. It wasn't the cleanest fight ever. Asterion actually died. So it didn't go all that well. I do have one of these revival scrolls, so I just used that on him and decided to cure him up a bit. Didn't want to use too many health potions because I sort of like to save those for if we're in a pinch in the middle of battle or whatever. Found this like interesting amulet on one of the minotaurs, the amulet of the unworthy. Not sure if I'm going to equip it on anyone because it protects them from slashing damage, but also it makes them weak to bludgeoning damage. So I'm not sure if it's a good idea to equip it on anyone. But we'll see if I run into an enemy who's just all about slashing damage, then I might equip it. Um, so far, the Underdark, it looks really cool. Again, it reminds me a lot of the underground in Zelda, and of course the Sophia River, if that's even how that was pronounced. The big Elden Ring underground area, and also just a little bit like Skyrim with Blackreach or whatever. But of course, this is like way, way bigger than Blackreach. Um, I don't think it's as big as Zelda's Underground because it was basically the entire map, but just underground. It had a new level to it. But this place does seem pretty big, and like there's a lot to do in here, a lot to explore, and a lot to find. So I could be down here a while. Again, I'm still stealing all these barrels because you never know when you might need to like explode someone with barrels. Um, so I just get Karlach to pick all those up still. Again, she's our like strongest character. So she has more carry weight than everybody else. So again, I don't really know where I'm going in here, but I'm just trying to pick up all these mushrooms and like anything useful I see in here. I was in this area before, or at least just the opening part of the Underdark, when I was doing that little temple in the Goblin camp. When I found that's when I first found the Underdark. I didn't go too far in because again I just saw a Minotaur and it was just charging towards me and I was like, quick, better lock that gate. And then I did, and then some like turrets or whatever, magical turrets, they just took down the Minotaur for me. So I managed to survive that fight. I've picked up so much stuff now. I just need to send like so much of it back to camp. I'm a bit of a hoarder. I'd never throw anything away just in case I need it. I will sell stuff if I've got like a bunch of swords that I'm never going to use or something like that. But when it comes to like potions and ingredients and like crafting materials, there isn't really a lot of crafting in this game aside from mixing potions or whatever, which I'm actually quite thankful of. I'm glad there's been no quests that's like, please craft me 5 iron daggers of blah de blah and bring it to me over here. Before you do that, you collect 5 iron ignet or whatever, and anything like that. I haven't run into any quests like that at all. Um, and every quest in this game so far has been like has a lot of substance to it, a lot of good writing, and you're always doing something really compelling or interesting and creative. Um, Found this helmet and this big Excalibur like sword stuck in a stone over here. I decided to use Karlach. She's our strongest character again. I thought she'd be able to pull it out pretty easily. But there was also this like religious skill check you could do. I failed it, but I managed to roll again and pass it on the second attempt. Or I actually had to roll the third time, and I think I passed it this time. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. Critical success. It seemed the blade, I needed to make like a little sacrifice to it, so I shed some blood on the blade. Because I think I might get cursed if I didn't do this little ritual first. So, and rather than needing brute strength, you just had to do that little ritual. And then I got this new like great sword or whatever. Um, I think Karlach's the only one who's like gonna be properly able to use that. It's not as good as the sword she has at the moment, at least from raw damage output. I think her sword does like 16. Um, she is the sword of justice or whatever that we took off those fake paladins or those guys that were hunting her. Um, I thought my character might be able to use it, but like they're not really skilled in this like great sword class. They are a bard, like they prefer. My character likes a rapier that they've had for like nearly the entire game. I might swap that out soon if I find a better sword. But this sword does look really cool, and I like the little ritual we had to do to get it. But I'm not proficient in it or anything. And I thought it would be more fair if Karlach kept this because like she's the one who had to like shed blood to get it and everything. So I was like having a little read at it to see if my character would be any good with it. But yeah, I think they just prefer this rapier that they've always had. And I just end up giving this back to Karlach, even though the current sword she has, it's pretty much better than it, at least in raw damage output. So when I was walking along, this thing jumped up out of the ground, this like burrowing monster type creature. It had a lot of health, and it seemed like it'd be able to do a lot of damage to us if it just like charged into us or whatever. But I tried to wear it down as much as possible. I threw a fire grenade on it, that alchemy fire or alchemist fire, whatever. Thought that might be useful. It wasn't that effective, to be honest. But I was just trying everything. Ran up with Karlach again, my usual strategy. Get Karlach towards them and just let them, just let Karlach hit them as hard as possible with all their different like cleaving abilities and stuff like that. I poisoned it with Shadowheart using Ray of Sickness. Put a hunter's mark on it just for the sake of it. And I think it actually runs away after a while. It was just sitting here at the moment for some reason, refusing to attack me, which was interesting. Maybe I'd stunned it or something. Um, but yeah, I wasn't doing a lot of damage to it, and it did have quite a bit of health. Like it had like 125 HP. Um, and maybe if I knew better what its weakness was, I'd be able to like take it down really easily. But I was just trying a bit of everything, throwing acid on it, throwing fire at it, just hitting it with Karlach, and just seeing what was happening with it. I was gonna try to bite it with Asterion, but I don't think he can bite people who aren't humanoid enemies. It would be funny if you could just send him to bite everything and just see what happens. But yeah, it might not go well. Um, so yeah, with Karlach, I was just trying to decide what I should do here. I was trying to use animal friendly with animals or whatever, see if that did anything. But then, of course, it's not a beast. It has to be a beast for that to count. So I think I just did a standard attack on it there. Again, Shadowheart. I think I was trying to think of a spell that might work on it. I think I just did a ranged attack that missed there. So it finally turned around and jumped at us and did quite a lot of damage. And it turned out that it was a lot more powerful than I was expecting. But I'd started the fight and I wanted to wound it as much as possible, uh, just to see how like possible it was to like take this thing down. Um, and I did have it to like half health here almost. So I have been doing pretty alright. Shouldn't have thrown that ass at it because I just wounded my own people. But it did run off when I did that. So we did seem to scare it off. And I managed to get my character and Shadowheart back up before they could like fully die or whatever. And I needed to waste another resurrection spell or whatever. Um, So there's a lot of mushrooms and weird plants and stuff in here. I shouldn't have jumped in here because Shadowheart and Asterion, they ran too close to these obviously explosive mushrooms or whatever. Found all these dead Drugers or whatever you call them. And I saw that there was a character up on those stone steps over there, just sort of watching me. Um, I'm pretty sure I walked into his line of vision, but he didn't seem to attack or anything. But I first wanted to like loot all these dead guys because it seemed like there was a lot of them about, and that this stuff could be quite useful, perhaps. Again, just collecting all the like mushrooms and stuff around here because you never know when you have to brew a potion or mix something up to make something easier. So I was just trying to collect everything down here. And this seemed like some sort of destroyed village or something. Which clearly there'd been some big battle here. But I decided to turn around and go back to camp and just rest up and cure my characters because they were all pretty injured, to be honest. Just decided to say hello to Scratch. I think he'd brought me something in his mouth, like he just picks up packages sometimes and gives it to you. And it can be anything from like a few gold coins to like a pair of shoes he brought me once. And also I wanted to dump off some of this stuff I've been collecting because I'm just getting like overloaded with gear at this point. So many potions and magic items and just everything you could think of I'm carrying at this point. and I just need to offload some in this traveler's chest. Hopefully, the traveler's chest doesn't get filled up completely because it will be a disaster if that happens. Uh, because I am just carrying so much stuff at this point. But I managed to get off most of the stuff I didn't need, and then I just rested to just cure everyone. Finally, the owl bear that I rescued back at the goblin camp showed up. I don't know how he found us down here, but I tried to offer him some food, and Karlach and everyone approved of that. Um, I was trying to make him come closer, but then Karlach came in and she was like, "Oh my god, he's so cute! I love him!" And then he ran away because he was scared of Karlach. She didn't seem to realize that she was the problem there, which is pretty funny. And she was just like, "Oh, I hope he comes back soon." And I hope he comes back too because I'm a bit worried that Karlach might have permanently scared him off there. I went to talk to her to see if there was any dialogue about that, but she didn't really have anything to say. So I'm hoping the next time I go to camp, the owlbear returns and I manage to actually convince it to stay. Um, but yeah, I went to speak to this guy who was back outside this like battlefield that I'd been looting, and he seemed like some big mushroom sort of figure. Didn't really trust him that much because he looked sort of vaguely evil and vaguely like the big mushroom zombie characters in The Last of Us. But he wasn't attacking us, and I did have a lot of options to like persuade him to like not attack or anything like that. And again, as a bard, I'm always trying to talk to people and just persuade them to like let's settle things non-violently or whatever. So I had quite a few dialogue choices here. I decided I would like try to be nice and say I was here to help these figures. Shadowheart and Karlach approved of me helping these guys, so that's interesting. Sometimes Karlach will really approve of something, but Shadowheart will disapprove of it. It's just interesting when they align on something like this. Um, so yeah, I decided I would help these mushroom plant guys. Uh, had another one to persuade here because I tried to loot one of the dead ones that was laying around here, and this guy got suspicious, and I was just like, "Oh, sorry, it's just a misunderstanding. I didn't know you cared about these guys." So I decided to make sure not to touch anything after that I really didn't need to touch, just in case anything went wrong. Found this hobgoblin guy. I thought he was a devil at first, but then of course he had no wings. Um, and he didn't have like the red eyes or whatever. So I was sort of confusing him for either a devil or a tiefling of some sort. But of course he had no horns either. So yeah, he was this hobgoblin. He said he was a part of some brilliant minds college or something like that. So I thought it was a bit strange that he was hanging out down here with all these plant guys, these like mushroom people, as I've been calling them. But he seemed friendly enough and trustworthy enough. But then suddenly his older friend came in here, and then I got a bit of a shock because this turned out to be a mind flayer, but not like an evil one. He's one that who was like so smart and good with magic that he managed to disconnect himself from the hive mind that the mind flayers are all connected to, like some big giant brain thing that they're all hooked into. Because of his magical abilities, he managed to shield himself and eventually break the connection, and then he just escaped from his fellow mind flayers. I'm not sure if I can fully 100% trust him, because what if he's just lying and making up a pretty decent story to be able to spy on us or whatever? But I did want to trust him because I did like the idea that there was a mind flayer who would be like sort of pretty decent and different from his other like kinsmen or whatever you would call them. So and I thought it was interesting that he was hanging out down here in the Underdark with like a hobgoblin and these mushroom people, and it's quite an interesting little crew of people that's hanging out in this camp. And the Underdark, it's probably my favorite place so far in the game because of just how much weird stuff's going on in here. And it's just unlike most other fantasy games I've played, to be honest. Just the design of a lot of these races and just how they're all interacting. And the fact there's just like big mushroom people wandering around and stuff like that. It's just really intriguing and some different designs and decisions that I haven't been seeing in games for a while. It just feels really fresh, and I've really been enjoying this section of the game, even though I'm not that far into the Underdark yet. It really feels like I'm on an expedition underground. It feels dangerous. There's a lot of like powerful enemies down here, and I'm just going through it pretty cautiously. And again, I just want to make allies with like these people because I need some friends down here that can help me out because it seems like everything else down here is pretty hostile. Uh, so anyway, we managed to speak to the Mind Flayer and the Hobgoblin, and they said they might be able to help us with the power site. I'm not holding my breath on that because everyone else in the game who's tried to like offer help with the power site, they've just really gone nowhere with it. And their plan, whatever it was, like most of the time, it's just completely failed. So I didn't have much hope for this power site removal plan or doing whatever these guys said. Just because it had gone wrong so often in the past, it feels like a running joke. Like the developers are knowingly writing this in now that you're meeting all these different people who are like, oh yeah, I can help you with your power site. Oh, I can help you with that. I can help you. And of course, none of them can, and they're just desperate to get you to work for them, and they'll just say anything to make you help, and they sort of manipulate you. It's kind of annoying that it keeps happening, but it does feel pretty realistic to what people would do if somebody was vulnerable like that and they really needed help. Um, a lot of people, like characters, they try to use that to their advantage, so I can sort of go along with it that everyone keeps pretending they can help us when they really can't at all. Spoke to a few more characters around this, like mushroom village. Um, Spoke to like one dwarf lady or whatever, and she said her husband, he was off picking mushrooms or whatever, and he kind of didn't come back. So I offered to go find him. But I ran into this big tree which had some bark I needed for a really old quest that I picked up like 30 hours ago or whatever, which was to craft a masterwork weapon. But I need this special kind of iron bark or whatever this tree bark, this like rare tree is. And I got a little bit of dialogue when I was walking up to it here that this is actually the tree I've been looking for. But I got into a fight with these, I don't know what these hook horrors. These like big bird creatures that kind of look like vultures or some other sort of carrion bird. There was quite a few of them down around here, and there was also this strange like mage. I think they were a mage. This pale elf, I think. They were also running in to attack me here. This fight actually went on for quite a while, so I don't think I'll show the whole thing. But yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning that I did go to this tree, and then I got into quite a large brawl with these hook horrors and this strange character. I think they were called the Forgotten or the Forlorn or the something like that. Might have been just the Forgotten actually. They seemed like they'd gone crazy in the Underdark and just been hanging out down here for far too long. Um, and I took them down, and then I like got a like map or instructions on how to like use adamantine or whatever, a special kind of metal to craft items and stuff with. And there seems to be some lost forge down here in the Underdark that we're probably gonna go and find at some point. So it was worth coming over here for that and to pick up that quest and to get this special bark off the tree after I defeated these monsters. Again, this battle did go on for quite a while. I got pretty beat up, pretty injured. Again, I'm still not that skilled at this game when it comes to the combat. And I'm starting to think that maybe on my first playthrough I should have gone on the like explorer or like just the story difficulty or whatever it was. But then again, maybe it would have felt far too easy to do that. And because I'm struggling on this difficulty, it does make it feel worthwhile and make you feel badass when you actually do beat some tough encounters. And like every encounter in the game feels like it's a proper battle and an ordeal, and you're not steamrolling any characters really, unless you get the drop on them on some of them and you manage to like push them off a ledge, or you do the barrel assassination type stuff where you just pile up a load of barrels next to a really tough boss and set it on fire from really far away. That kind of stuff where you can like really strategize and get past enemies. Um, but even then, when you find like an easy method to take people out like that, it does feel more worthwhile as well, because you know if you didn't do it that way, you were gonna be in for a really tough fight, and you do feel pretty clever when you pull off stuff like that. Anyway, that was the last hook horror in here. I think I just saved up just in case I died after that really long fight. I started stealing everything that was around here. Um, I think that lifting that mushroom or whatever puts a negative effect on me, but I was just collecting them anyway, just in case I needed them. And I came up to the tree and I got this bit of bark, and that updated the quest to forge a masterwork weapon. So I went back to camp. I decided it would be a good time to just rest all my characters and just heal up or whatever, and get ready for another battle before I went back in to the Underdark. And again, the owl bear cub that I adopted, it showed up at camp again this time. Its foot was wounded. It had like a bit of a cut or something going on. So I tried to use my medical skill check to like have a look at the cut and see if there was anything I could do to it to sort of fix it up or help it or anything. And I think I tried to heal it, or did I use nature to assess the wound? I was really feeling a lot of these skill checks. I think that I just changed to survival. Yeah, I just attempted to heal the injury, and I think I managed to do it and closed up the wound. Again, Karlach came over and she was just like, oh, I love him so much. And I think he just left again. Hopefully he'll come back a third time, and that time he'll like permanently stay in the camp. Bit worried how he's gonna get on with what do you call him? Scratch, my dog. I don't know if the animals are gonna play nice together. And Scratch seemed to realize he was maybe in danger of being replaced by an owlbear cub, so he brought me a gift. Like I said previously, I think it was another pair of shoes. So I just petted him and had a good time with that. And when I came back to the Underdark, next to the tree, um, this enemy I'd been fighting before that had run away. This like burrowing enemy or whatever you would call it. It came back. Its health was pretty damaged still from the last time I'd fought it, thankfully. So I was able to wear it down quite quickly, but it still managed to do quite a lot of damage to me. Cloud of Daggers, my bard ability, it's one of my more powerful attacks. It really helped me out here. Um, but also Karlach actually was really badly injured during this battle, and I was a bit worried about that because again, Karlach's one of like my main damage dealer. Shadowheart was somehow stuck up in this tree for some reason. I don't remember how I put her up there or why, but she was kind of safe up there out of the way, able to support us. My Cloud of Daggers ability, I think it actually won the fight for me there, took out this guy. He had some interesting robes on him. They seem like they'll be pretty cool. So I took those and just left everything else because it wasn't really that important. I was glad I'd taken that enemy and got them out of the way, because they could have been a bit of a nuisance if they kept burrowing around the map and just showing up maybe in an even tougher fight in the middle of it. And I could have really lost the fight if that happened. So I was just glad to get it out of the way. And I just healed all the characters. Didn't want to go back to camp after having just been there. So I just decided to use all my like healing magic to just fix everyone up. Could have used all the health potions I'm carrying, but again, I like to save those for when you're in the actual middle of a battle. Because sometimes they can, like, they heal a set amount of health compared to your healing spells, which like you have to pass a dice roll, and then it depends what you get. Like, so I traveled back to the blacksmith, the blighted village, to this blacksmith building, and I put the wood bark in this forge, and put a like random dagger in there, and it gave me a masterwork dagger, um, which isn't really much good to my character, the bard. I mean, it could be useful if I can wield it pretty effectively, I think. But again, as Tyrion, I've got him doing like dual dagger duty, and he's already got like a pretty powerful set. But I just gave him this newer one, a masterwork one as well. So he's pretty good now with his offhand attack. That ability he does, if he can get like close to maximum damage with his offhand attack, and then you get to do a follow up attack with the other dagger. He can really wipe people out pretty quickly. When it comes to like stealthing up behind someone and doing like a sneak attack on them with the daggers. So yeah, I just thought a dagger would be the best thing to go for. You can also do a great sword, and I think maybe if you give them a longbow, you can get a masterwork longbow, or something like that. But yeah, it was nice to just check that quest off the checklist, because it had been in my quest log since like, I don't know, like 15, 20 hours ago. And I was starting to wonder if I was ever going to find this masterwork item or whatever. So again, I went back to do this quest to help this mushroom hunter guy or whatever. He'd been trapped in this field of explosive mushrooms. He dropped his bag with his like mist step scrolls, which allow you to teleport. I didn't want to waste one to get over to him, so I was just like, what if I split these scrolls so that I have one and he has one, and then I just threw one at him? Would he pick it up or whatever? And he actually did, and then he used it to get out of there. And it was just like, oh man, this game is so cool with stuff like that. And then I used the spare one for Aztarian to just teleport out of there, and it just felt really cool the way I figured that out. And there's probably other solutions you can do, but that one for me, I just really enjoyed that. Um, I probably could have brought Lizelle. I think she has misstep as just one of her abilities, so she wouldn't even need the scrolls. But it was just fun working with what you have and figuring out a little strategy and using the in-game mechanics to your advantage to get through stuff like that. So again, I was trying to travel back to the Mushroom Town or whatever, as I'm calling it, um, just to speak to that guy's wife to see if she had a reward for me or whatever. She actually wasn't that happy to see this guy because apparently he's lost his memory or something, and the only reason he's like a sort of alright, nice guy now is because he forgot what an asshole he used to be. So she really wasn't overly like overjoyed to see him back, uh, and she was kind of annoyed that he hadn't brought back some rare mushroom that they sell in Baldur's Gate, and the whole reason they're down here was for him to get it. Um, she didn't tell me to go back and get one, but I probably will do that myself later. Maybe if I bring it back to her, there'll be like an unspecified little quest to give her one of those. Um, she's kind of mean and nasty or whatever, and she doesn't like seem very grateful. But when she explains how her husband was pretty terrible to her over the years, you sort of can excuse her attitude because you could kind of tell she's been through quite a lot because of her husband or whatever. And he actually failed the one job he had down here, which was to get that special mushroom stock or whatever, because that's how they make their money back in Baldur's Gate, selling those because they're so rare. Um, so anyway, I came back to this sort of village that had been getting attacked, or where all these like dead people were on the road to it. I started sneaking around in here. Um, we had passed a skill check that said this was a place that was ripe for an ambush, so that's why I was sort of sneaking around. I came up here and I found these sort of holes in the wall. They looked like insect holes, and I was scared some like big giant ant or something was gonna come out of one of them. So I decided to carefully inspect it before I went like sticking my hand into one of these holes looking for treasure or whatever. Managed to pass a skill check, and you smell rotting dead flesh in these holes. Um, and the narrator basically tells you that it's this flesh-eating centipede creatures or whatever are probably in there. And I was like, well, I don't really need to encounter any of those, so I'm gonna ignore those holes and just run away and get back to exploring the main sort of burnt out town over here. Ran into these, I think they're called Draugrs. They seem to be some sort of like uh, dwarf type characters. Um, they were really up for attacking me here when they figured out that I would been sneaking around in here or whatever. Managed to persuade them that that wasn't necessary, and just told them that I can be discreet if I want to. And then they told us about this escaped gnome slave character who'd stolen some boots from their boss when they ran away, and I kind of just agreed to get those boots back. Um, I didn't really have any intention of killing this gnome or anything. I thought I would just go up to them, pickpocket their boots, or maybe just convince them to give me their boots some other way, and then I would bring them back here. I was a bit upset Karlach disapproved of this, and I didn't get a chance to explain to her, like in some dialogue, like, Psst, I'm scamming these guys. Please, Karlach, it's just a trick. Sometimes you do get chances to do stuff like that, like with Lizelle when she was talking to the Githyanki commander. In the middle of dialogue, you could like whisper stuff to her and convince her to scam her commanders or whatever. Um, so I was just a bit upset that there was no option during that conversation just to be like, Karlach jump in, going, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then I could have been like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm just scamming them. I'm actually not gonna kill this gnome or whatever." So I went back again to the mushroom village or whatever, and I found one of these guys. They were doing something to these dead warriors, and they were just explaining that these Draugr had attacked them, and this main sort of guy, he wants rid of the Draugr. He's given us a vision of how they were attacked by them, and he was like he'd be like grateful if we get rid of them, and he's gonna reward us well for doing that. And Aztarian was like, he enjoys how this guy talks. He had a nice little funny comment there, and I just used some bard dialogue to sort of get in harmony with this creature's way of talking or whatever. Um, and I decided I was gonna help them. I'm still maybe a bit suspicious of them, and it could turn out because this game does like to do little like twists, and play with your expectations. And the expectations I have here are that the Draugrs are clearly evil, and that these tree mushroom monster guys are maybe actually the good guys. But it could get flipped around later, and when I'm taking out Draugr, I find like a diary or something about how they'd been living peacefully, doing a mining operation or something, and then all these like mushroom guys came in and attacked them, and actually attacked them first. But we'll see if any twist like that happens. It will be interesting if it did. Anyway, I found the escaped gnome character here. They've been poisoned and wounded during their escape. So I had the option to give her like an anti-poison antidote toxin remover thing or whatever, and Karlach approved of that. So at least I got Karlach's approval back up by doing this, just curing this gnome. And they rewarded me with their boots. And they also told me that they wanted me to free the rest of their gnome family or whatever. And these fellow miners or whatever been captured by the Draugr. And she was just telling us where to go to do that. Um, and yeah, it was pretty easy to get the boots that she stole. She just offered them up as a reward right away. I didn't have to uh, persuade her or anything like that. She just gave it to us. I wonder if it's that easy if you don't give her like a antidote potion or whatever. Maybe it's harder to get them. Um, but yeah, I just spoke to her a bit more about the Draugr and told her that they were hunting her or whatever. I was trying to see if there was going to be a quest from her to go back and take them down. Um, I was just asking her if she was able to get up or whatever, and she said she needed rest or whatever. I decided I would try to cure her a little because she only had 2 HP. I thought maybe that would get some new dialogue, but unfortunately she was still like she needed to rest or whatever. Um, so that pretty much seemed like that for this part of the quest. I decided I would go back, not bother to tell these guys about the boots. Also, I had to speak to Shadowheart because her hand was hurting her again. It seems to happen whenever we help someone or do a good deed. Or maybe I've only noticed it during that, but I was trying to persuade her that we need to do something about it because what if we're in the middle of battle and she starts getting injured by her hand and it could cost us a fight or whatever, and I sort of persuaded her that we should do something about that. But yeah, anyway, I went back to the Draugr guys who wanted the boots back, and I started a fight with them. It got a bit messy, a bit crazy, went on for a while. One of them resurrected some of the dead Draugr around here, and it was quite of a long battle, and I got pretty beat up during it, pretty injured. But eventually I did win, and the quest to return the boots I had updated to go give them to the original commander who they were stolen from or whatever. So yeah, I'll probably go do that in the next video. Maybe explore the Underdark a bit more. Because I feel like I'm really just scratching the surface of this area. And I think I'm still in Act 1, even though I was pretty sure I was moving on to Act 2 by now. Um, it's really taken me like between 30 and 40 hours to get to this point. I don't think my save file actually reflects the correct amount of time I've been playing because I have saved sometimes and then not liked what happened in a certain couple of quests, and then I've reloaded and set myself back like maybe 10-15 minutes sometimes. But the game is so good and so fun that I don't really mind losing time like that. And I also just really enjoy seeing other outcomes to the quests and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think my playtime is between 30 and 40 hours now. Um, and I've really enjoyed it so far. And I can really see why it won Game of the Year. Uh, oh yeah, then I came back to speak to the mushroom guy again. to tell him that that I'd taken down the Draugr leaders or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll let you into our inner sanctum or our little treasure room or whatever, and then I could get some rewards in there." And Karlach approved again that I'd offered to help them, and that I was gonna go take out the rest of the Draugr or whatever. Um, So yeah, this was just him opening up the this inner sanctum or whatever you would call it, and there's a lot of nice stuff in there for me to collect. Nice little reward for helping these guys. Again, makes it feel yeah, and they gave me a quest to go find a certain drow elf who was in charge of these like raiding parties who'd been taking these guys down, and they said to bring back his head or whatever. Again, I do have a sneaking suspicion it's going to turn out that these people that I'm attacking, these Draugr and everything, they're actually the good guys, and these mushroom guys are actually the evil ones. And I've just sided with them by mistake because they're the first people I ran into down here. But it could also be pretty straightforward. They know these mushroom guys, they were always down here just living peacefully, and then the Draugr came in and started taking over and killing them and stuff. Had a little bit of trouble of finding the like reward room because I hadn't really been over there before. And then it's in here behind these vines or whatever. There's this dead guy in here, a pale corpse, and he has a journal about adamantine or however you pronounce that. And this is really an little update on how to get to the forge or how to use the forge effectively to craft these rare items or whatever we're going to be doing. So that's going to be a pretty interesting quest. Just how to pass a skill check because the book was disguised as something random and we had to look at it carefully to make the illusion disappear and then get the like correct information out of the book. And then we saw it was about adamantine, or however you pronounce that word. There was a lot of other stuff in here laying around to steal. Well, not steal because they're giving it to me, so just to collect. And it felt worth it to take out those Draugr guys. And they do seem pretty evil on the face of it, those Draugr guys. Like, they've got slaves, and they wanted to attack me as soon as they saw me, so I'm actually torn on whether they are good or evil or not. Maybe those two I met were just evil, and the rest of their party's gonna be fine. But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes when I go to find their leader in the next video. So yeah, thanks for watching people, and I'll see you again next time with some more Baldur's Gate 3.